Welcome, fellow bookworms, to Tipper's Den. My name is Whitney, and in this video, we are going to be reading 3 library books that I wouldn't have read otherwise. For my game for January, I ended up having a prompt that I needed to have either an employee or librarian pick a mystery, thriller, or horror for me. I haven't been to our local library in quite a while. They're not very welcoming there. They're kind of grumpy and like you don't even want to ask them questions or talk to them or anything. So I haven't been there for a while. I decided I wanted to try Libby out, and my library cards expired. So I was out running errands. I thought, you know what, let's just swing in there. And then I renewed my library card, and I decided just to ask them for a recommendation. So that's kind of what prompted this, because of course then I had to walk around and see if there's any other books I needed to snag. I'm also going to be reading 2 priority reads, like 2 reads that kind of have a timeline associated with them in this week as well. When I'm filming this, it is now the 3rd of January, and I have started one of the books. I'm actually halfway through it. So this is the book that inspired this. It was chosen for me by, I don't know if he was the librarian or just an employee there, but when I asked, like, the one lady, they kind of like, I don't know. And he's like, Dean Koontz. And so I was like, well, what Dean Koontz do you want me to read? And he said his favorite is Life Expectancy. Of course, it's a library book, so it's very reflective. But his favorite is Life Expectancy. And so, like I said, I'm already halfway through this. And yeah, I have a handful of Dean Koontz books. My sister gave me a whole stack of them. Somebody had given them to her. She doesn't even like Dean Koontz. And so she gave me a whole stack of them. I went through them a while ago, and I kept a handful. I don't know if this is one of them. I know I had this at one time. I don't know if this is one I kept or not. I kind of hope I did. I'm going to have to look at my spreadsheet because they're kind of tucked away. But I'm really enjoying this. So basically, you have Jimmy Talk, and his grandfather dies the exact same minute like he's born. His grandfather passes away. So his father's been going back and forth, and before his grandfather dies, like, he had a stroke, and he sits up and he starts talking, which is a miracle in itself, and he predicts 10 things technically. 5 things about Jimmy's, like his birth weight, his time of birth, his height, like that he'll be his toes will be fused and such. And so he predicts those 5 things, and then he says that there'll be 5 dates in Jimmy's life that are just terrible. And so he's like, write it down, And so his father, writes it down. He has this coupon for the circus. And at the same time, there's this clown from the circus whose wife is giving birth. And so he writes down the dates, and so you're having our narrators, Jimmy, and he's recounting at this point. When he's telling the story, he's like, 4 of the 5 events have happened, so there's just 1 left to go. And so I've read through the first event, which was very like on your seat, like he survives because, and he even says that, like, obviously I survived because otherwise the other events wouldn't take place, but you don't know what's going to happen in the meantime. And so it's very quirky, very fun. You have that circus clown aspect in there as well, which is just like an oddball thing to be thrown in, but it's really working for the story. And Jimmy and his father are pastry chefs. Like it's just really interesting. So there's a lot of talk about food, and they keep baker's hours, and so their family keeps baker's hours, and so far it's just a lot of fun. So I have started this one. I'm hoping if I don't finish it today, I'll finish it tomorrow. But I'm really, really enjoying this one. So that's the first library book that I'm reading. I will also be reading Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. This is obviously very, very popular, but I never was really interested in picking it up. But since I saw it at the library, I'm willing to give it a go, is kind of the situation there. And I'll talk more about what that's about when I get to it. And then I also saw Matt Haig's The Life impossible. And I've read a couple Matt Haig books. He doesn't quite work for me. Like, there's something about his writing, but I enjoy them enough that when I saw this I wouldn't have picked this up based on his other books I've read. I wouldn't have picked this up, but I enjoyed his other writing, like the other two books I've read, enough. And when I saw this at the library, I thought I'd be willing to give that a go. So I picked that up as well. And then I have two priority reads that, like I said, have a time limit. The first one that I have also already started, but I'm not very far in. I'm like 31 pages in, is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks, because Kim just did her announcement for the next round of her game, which this year is called TBR Trek. And there's 4 different teams. I'm on Team Dryad, which is hosted by Reading with Manny. You also have the Satyrs, which is Amy at A-Star Reads and her cousin Jordan. You have the Gnomes, which is Ruby Reads. And you have the Pirates again, which is Kim's mom, Julie. So I'll leave all those channels linked down below along with Kim's announcement video. So if you're interested in signing up, you can certainly do that. But we have a prompt to start off with before the first live show, and that will give us points to kind of start off and get some kind of perk. And ours was to read a book with either trees or greenery on the cover. And as you can see, there's obviously the willows behind him. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to continue with this one. I'm really enjoying it so far. But basically, you have painfully shy Callum Flannelly would rather dive into an open grave than take a stranger to dinner, but he can only inherit the family undertaking business under one condition. He must marry before his 35th birthday. Texan animator Lark Thompson moved to Galway, Ireland to restart her life and career, not to be reminded of losing her husband by moving in next to a funeral home. When she learns of Callum's dilemma, Lark certain she can help him find the one, even if she's sworn off love herself. Though as the dating project progresses and Lark spends more time with straight-laced, sarcastic Callum, he starts to crack the ice around her grieving heart, and the more joy that vivacious Lark brings to Callum's gray existence, the less he can imagine letting her return to Texas. If they think they can ignore their connection, they're dead wrong. So, yeah, I mean, I'm barely getting into it, but they've met, and he's like painfully shy, and he has a stutter, and she's very like outgoing and just like just excessive talking and such. So I am really enjoying this so far. I love the undertaking element. It does like talk about the process of caring for someone. And she even mentions that as a trigger warning. I do like it has like in the front, it has the pronunciation guide for like the ones that she's using all the time, and then also in the back it has more for the ones that she's not using as much. So those are the 2 books I'm working on currently, and hopefully I'm hoping to finish up both of these this weekend. And then the other one that's a priority that is for my family book club. So I just have to have it read by the last Sunday of the month. So I have a little bit more time for this one. But I thought since I'm doing this video, I might as well just throw it in there. And that's The Collective by Alison Gaylin. And like I said, I'll talk more about this one once I get to it. So those are the 5 books I'm planning on reading this week. So there's these 3, of course, and then plus the 2 I already... Okay, I can't hold them all up like that. So these 3 and then the 2 I already started. So, but yeah, so far it's successful with the Dean Koontz book and of course Morbidly Yours. I'm really enjoying, and I'm hoping the other 2 library books work out for me as well. Like I said, I love using the library. I used to use it a lot more. It's just since I moved where I am now, the librarians they're not very welcoming, and it makes me not want to go in there. But now that I have my library card renewed, I'm hoping I can access Libby more and use like audiobooks through them. And who knows, maybe I'll continue, if this is successful, trying to pick up some books that I wouldn't read otherwise, but I am interested in trying as I go forward. So I will be back once I have my thoughts on these 2 and I get ready to start the next book. and I will see you guys then, which of course for you guys it'll be just a moment. All right, I am back. It is the morning of Tuesday, January 6th, and I did finish Life Expectancy last night. I ended up giving this a 4-star. I actually was pleasantly surprised by it. I haven't checked yet to see if I still own it or not. If I don't, I'm not probably going to get it again. If I did unhaul it, I'm not going to worry about getting it again. Like, I enjoyed it, but not enough that I would see myself wanting to reread it or anything like that. But I was very pleasantly surprised by this. So I think I've read 3 of this author's books, 2 of which, like one, I think it was Fear Nothing. I don't think I ever quite finished that one. And I didn't really fully grasp it, but I was a lot younger when I tried to read that one. The other one, I don't even remember the name of it, but I did enjoy that one. And then the one was one of his like older works. And again, I don't remember the name, but I read it on a TBR, and that one I did not like at all. But this one surprised me. So basically, you have Jimmy Talk, and the night he's born, there's one other couple, and they're also having a baby. And his grandfather is dying that night, and his grandfather suffered a stroke, and all of a sudden sits up and spouts 10 prophecies, 5 about his birth, like his weight, the time that he'll have fused joints, or fingers and toes, fused limbs, and I forget the term for it. And things like that, like stuff around the birth. And then there will be 5 terrible days in his life, and write it down. And his father had this ticket for the circus. And the other couple that's in there is one of the clowns and an aerialist from the circus. And so his father writes it down, and there'll be these 5 terrible days. And so you're following, like, it's kind of him writing his memoir, the Jimmy. So he's like talking to you throughout the book, and you're following these 5 days of his life that are absolutely horrible. And I really thought the author did a great job of making each thing kind of different, and not as predictable, like, just because it says it's going to be this day, like maybe it starts before that and things like that. And I thought that was really well done. It all kind of ties back to that night of his birth, which was really fun. Like, I liked that. Not fun, but horrible. But I liked how he tied that all back to that night of his birth. I really enjoyed that. The twist was fine. I thought it was going to be something different than what it was. But, it wasn't like oh my God, that's an amazing twist or anything like that. But it was a good one, and it worked for the story. And so, yeah, I had a good time with it, and gave it 4 stars. It was just a little too over the top for me. But I thought I liked the quirkiness of the characters. You have that circus aspect. They're like pastries. His father and him are pastry chefs. So there's a lot of like food talk, and like they compare, like, I love you more than this food, and like things like that. So it was cute in some aspects. I liked like the thrilling aspect of it, and I had a great time. So that was definitely a win from the library. And like I said, if I do happen to have it, I will definitely keep it on my shelves. But if I already got rid of it, I'm not gonna, unless I come across it like in a little free library or at a thrift store, I'm not gonna worry about getting it. I'm slowly still making my way through Morbidly Yours. This is not a library book. It's just a priority read for Kim from Expeditions Through Pages. The new game coming up, we have one prompt before it gets started to try to earn some points to get some advantages. And so I need to get this read by the 17th. I'm 110 pages in. It's like only 330 pages. So just over that. And yeah, still really enjoying this. They're still kind of in the friend zone, but you're definitely kind of getting that tension a little bit. And I really like both of our characters so far. So this is going to be my priority now to get this finished. So this will be my focus, but I do want to go ahead and start The Life Impossible by Matt Haig as well. I always like to have one paperback and one hardback going at the same time. So I'm going to pick this one up next. So let's read what this is about because I don't actually know. So it says, what looks like magic is simply a part of life we don't understand yet. When retired math teacher Grace Winters is left a rundown house on a Mediterranean island by a long-lost friend, curiosity gets the better of her. She arrives in Ibiza with a one-way ticket, no guidebook, and no plan. Among the rugged hills and golden beaches of the island, Grace searches for answers about her friend's life and how it ended. What she uncovers is stranger than she could have dreamed, but to dive into this impossible truth, Grace must first come to terms with her past. Filled with wonder and wild adventure, this is a story of hope and the life-changing power of a new beginning. So I've read technically 4, but 2 of them are part of the same middle grade series. It's like Christmas books. But I read 4 Matt Haig books, and they just never quite hit the mark for me. I've enjoyed them, but they don't quite hit the mark. So maybe this one will finally. I don't know. There's just something about his writing style that just doesn't work for me. But I enjoy the stories themselves, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's where we're at. As far as Tuesday the 6th, I'm trying to get these all read this week. And I have the 2 other books, of course, one more library book and then one for my family book club. I do have today and tomorrow are a bit busier because today I have to take the 3 boys, Sherlock and Watson, the 2 cats, and Marley, one of the dogs, into the veterinarian just for their rabies. And Marley's going to get some blood work. He's a little bit older and he's been off and on his feet a little bit lately. So I gotta take them in, and then tomorrow I have my dentist appointment. So we're gonna be doing that as well. So I'm not sure how much reading. I'm gonna do some computer. I have like my end of year best and worst book video I want to get up. So I'm gonna be working on that today before I take the boys in, then take them in, come home, and I'll probably relax and try to work my way through Morbidly Yours this evening, and then maybe start Life Impossible right before bed, kind of is my idea there. So we'll just have to see how it goes. And then the dentist tomorrow is first thing in the morning, and then I'll have the whole rest of the day, and I'm planning on just relaxing the whole rest of the day after the dentist. Going into town 2 days in a row is a lot for me. And so yeah, we'll just have to see how it goes the next couple days. But of course, I will be back once I have an update on these books. All right, so I'm back. It is Monday the 12th, and I haven't made much progress. So I did finish Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. I ended up giving this 5 stars. I really loved it. I particularly connected with Callum because I do struggle with like social anxiety and social battery getting drained real quickly when we do things and such. So I really connected with Callum. He does also have a stutter. I like because sometimes I don't think stutters are done very well in books. So I thought this author did that well. So you had that aspect, and then you have what's her name, Mark. I'm like, I don't remember her name, Mark. And she comes from Texas, and so there's a lot of conversation around grief. She lost her husband, and she kind of blames herself for that. And not kind of, she does blame herself for that. And so she doesn't want to ever get married again, have a relationship again. And Callum, he recently lost his granddad, so he's also dealing with grief, but he sees it also from the other side because he runs his undertaking business. He runs a mortuary. And so you kind of see it from the other side as well. And his grandfather, because Callum is so struggles with social situations and such, put a clause, that in order to inherit, he needs to get married by his 35th birthday. Only it wasn't quite that, but his father just wants to come in and sell to like a big business mortuary instead of being family run. And so, when they don't take the care necessarily that they need to, which was kind of Lark's experience. So at first she's like very upset that she moved in next to him, and then they form a friendship. And I love the I'm going to help you date and find the one trope, but then they end up falling for each other. I love that. Every book I've read that has that in it has worked for me. So she's trying to help him go on dates and such. And I think he's asexual, I want to say, where he needs that connection to somebody to have a physical attraction. And so, yeah, I absolutely love the setup of it. And then kind of both of them dealing with grief in their own ways, and Lark having to kind of forgive herself in order to move on and such. It was really well done. And I liked the way it ended. I think the author did that really well. It was a good ending, but it wasn't like, oh, tie it up in a nice, neat little bow. It's picture perfect ending, which sometimes isn't very realistic. So I really like how it ended. I do have the second one. I actually found the second one at a thrift store and then got this one. And the third one comes out, I think, in August, I want to say. So I'm definitely going to get that one when it comes out. I'm really looking forward. The second one deals with Lark's cousin, and then the third one deals with the florist in here. So I'm really looking forward to that. So yeah, definitely 5 stars. I really loved that. So we're done with that one. I'm 100 pages shy of being done with The Life Impossible by Matt Haig. So Matt Haig, I read 4 books from him: The Midnight Library, How to Stop Time, and then his 2 like middle grade Christmas books, which I have the third one I'm going to read this year at Christmas. So I'm looking forward to that. And there's something about his writing style that doesn't quite hit for me. This one's hitting. It kind of hit a lull here in the middle, but part of that I don't know how much is me and how much of the book is definitely slowed down, but it's really more about like the existential conversation around life and aging, because our character's 72, and again processing loss through life. And also there's a little bit of like save the planet aspect to it as well, and it's sci-fi, but it's like magical realism sci-fi, if that makes sense. Like it's not like hardcore sci-fi, like it's magical realism sci-fi in the sense that there is a sci-fi element, but it's more like contemporary in a sense. And so we're following Grace, who is our main protagonist, and she gets this opportunity. An old colleague of hers gives her house in, she's from England, and gives her a house in Spain. And so she recently lost her husband, and so she's a widow now, and they lost their son when he was young. And so she has a lot of grief and guilt around that. And so she's like, you know what? Why not? And so she goes. And there's like this mysterious element. And so though her friend, or the woman, they don't really know each other. They worked together briefly, and they spent like a Christmas together because the lady who gave her the house was like really down and didn't have anybody to spend the holidays with. So she's like, "Why don't you come over?" And so yeah, it's slow moving. Um, I like kind of that existential sci-fi element to it. Um, there's also the mystery element because you don't really know what happened to Christina, or Christine. Was it Christina or Christine? I don't remember now. I think Christina, but I don't remember now. I could be mistaken. Anyway, so like she knew she was going to, somebody was after her, and so at this point we've kind of learned more about that situation, but we still don't know who was after her. And so I think that's going to be the last 100 pages, is trying to kind of sort that out. I'm hoping to finish this today, but I've hoped to finish it for the last 2 days and it hasn't happened. But it's like I said, I'm right at the 100-page mark. I'm on 220 and it's 321 pages. So I'm right at the 100-page mark. And some of the chapters like are so short. Let's see, like this one, like, you know, just a couple paragraphs. So there's chapters like that in there as well. But yeah, I'm really actually enjoying this. Like, it's hitting for me. And the reason I say I don't like that lull, I think it's partly the book. But also I've just been really stressed because I had to take the animals in last Tuesday to the veterinarian. Then I had my dentist appointment, and then I'm going to have to take the last cat into the vet tomorrow. And so I've just kind of been stressed. That always stresses me out. I used to work in the veterinary clinic, so I have some trauma regarding that. I always end up not sleeping well, having nightmares and such. And honestly, the Tuesday vet visit did not go well. The front staff has really gone downhill. And so, yeah, I'm just stressed. So it might be partly the book, partly me, but it is a little bit of a slower moving story, which I don't mind at all. So I'm definitely going to be working on that today. And yeah, obviously I haven't started anything else yet. So my plan is try to wrap it up and at least start Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings today. So we'll see how that goes. I've already done the chores I need to do today. I do have a little bit of computer work, but it's still morning. I should be able to finish that up this morning and then have the afternoon, evening to read. So we'll just have to see how it goes. But I will be back when I have another update. And hopefully I'll have an update on both of these books when I come back. So, of course, for you guys, it'll be just a moment. Okay, so it is now Monday the 19th. And I finished my last book. Dogs. I have Anya down here where you can't see her, and Boo Boo's just stomping all over her because Boo Boo does what she wants. Anyway, it's Monday the 19th, and I have finished the books I wanted to read for this video. So the main point of this video was reading library books that I probably wouldn't have picked up otherwise. And then I had 2 priority reads that I wanted to get done. I can't remember because it's been, a while since I last jumped on. So I can't remember if I finished talking to you guys about The Life Impossible. I don't think I did. So I actually already returned the library books, but I knew partway through I enjoyed this one enough. I wanted a copy of it. And so I ordered a copy from Thrift Books, and it actually came the day I finished it. And yeah, it ended up giving this 4 stars. It does lag a little bit in places, and the mystery itself wasn't all that exciting or like wow. I think the mystery helped the pacing of the book because it wasn't just, that conversation of what life is and grief and kind of the existential conversation that takes place in this book. I think if it had just been that, it might not have hit as well. So I do think the mystery aspect did help, but it just wasn't all that awe-inspiring, and I didn't really kind of like the end all that much. But other than that, like, I really like the deeper conversation in here. I like that light sci-fi element. Like I said before, it is kind of like magical realism, but make it sci-fi instead of like fantasy. And so I really like that. And yeah, this one, even though I didn't give it a 5 stars, it hit a lot more than the other books. Like, I really enjoyed this one. I could see myself revisiting this one for sure. So there was that one. And then I don't have the book, I just have a placeholder so I remember about it. I did try Magnolia Parks by Jessa Hastings. So I had to take Adeline in for her rabies vaccine on, I think it was the 13th, so last Tuesday. And I thought, I just want to return the books. I don't want to have to go back into town. I've been in town too much so far this month, and I don't want to have to go back into town. So one of the main reasons I went to the library was to reinstate my library card so I could use Libby. So I was like, let me just see if the audio's there. I'll just see. So I did get the audio, and I started listening to it, and I had a feeling this book wasn't for me, which is why I wouldn't have read it if I didn't come across it at the library. And I was right. Very like the rich and famous toxic relationship. I listened to 12 minutes, 12 minutes, and I was just like, so many like, I'm wearing this and like, name dropping brands that they're wearing, and like it was already, you could tell the toxicness of this relationship where he slept with somebody else and she's like, I don't care, and like obviously you do care, and I'm just like, and I kind of knew it was that a little bit going in, and so I didn't think it would be for me, but yeah, listening to those I was like, absolutely not, like I just can't do this. So that one I'm not really even counting. It was like a taste test. I'm not even really counting it as a DNF. It was like a taste test of the book. Then my last read for this video was another priority read. This is for my family's book club, and we chose The Collective by Alison, Gaylin. And so I read a lot of books about like death and grief, because I read Morbidly Yours, and then The Life Impossible, and then this one. And so this one, you have this mom and her daughter was assaulted and then left into the woods, basically freeze to death. And the boy who did it never got punished. Like he got off, like, and now he's getting like all this, he wins this award for his humanitarian efforts through the college, and he never sees justice. And so she's so angry about it. And so it starts off, she ends up going to when he receives his award, and she's drank and mixed with her medication. And so like she's like murder and yelling and such, and it ends up kind of going viral and such. And that leads her to somebody reaching out to her for this group of women who have all lost their children, and their children's killers never saw justice. And it kind of like deals with like the dark web, and like it gets kind of dark. And yeah, I gave this one 4 stars as well. I really enjoyed it, and I liked like that kind of moral conversation about grief and loss and wanting revenge, and is what you're doing getting revenge okay just because this other person did something bad. And there's also kind of a conversation of like, if somebody does something good, that negate the bad sort of thing. And I really really liked it. The ending I did not love. Like there is a twist at the end, which it's a thriller, you expect that. And that was fine, but then it was really the epilogue that I was just like, I was kind of meh about the ending. And then the epilogue, I was just like, yeah, no, it was just kind of lackluster. But I enjoyed like the deeper conversations in this book, and I'm really looking forward to talking with my family about this. And my mom has already read it. My sister was planning on starting it. And then my niece had already started it as well. And so I'm really looking forward to talking to them about this. And yeah, I enjoyed, like, it was a good story, and I really enjoyed it. Cat over there is very distracting, but it's just the ending was kind of for me. But yeah, this one was a good one. So just a quick recap, I started off with my librarian's pick. It was a game prompt. I had to have a librarian or an employee pick. Now I can scoot over a little bit. Pick my read, and the librarian chose Dean Koontz' Life Expectancy. And I really had a great time with that one. That was a 4 stars. Like overall, this video was a big hit because that one was a 4 star. And then I read Morbidly Yours, which was for Kim from Expedition Through Pages, the TBR Trek game. That just started up. We had our live show, the first live show yesterday, but to get points on the board, we each had just one prompt after she announced like the host and the teams and everything. Each team had one prompt to fulfill, and you got points for that, and that gave you things in the game to use. And Dryads actually had the highest number of points, so go Team Dryad. And so I read Morbidly Yours because our prompt was to read a book with tree on the cover. So I read that, and that I loved. Like, that was 5 stars, but that one I would have read anyway. It wasn't because I went to the library. It was just a priority read. Then I read The Life Impossible by Matt Haig, which, based on his other books, I wouldn't have necessarily picked up, except I came across it at the library, and I ended up obviously loving that and getting a copy from my shelves. Then I taste tested Magnolia Parks, which I had a feeling wasn't for me, and I was right. So only listened to 12 minutes of that and was like, done. And then I read The Collective for my family book club pick, which was another one I really enjoyed. So I had 3 4 stars and 1 5 star, and then miss. So overall, very, very successful. I would love to know if you read any of these books, if you're interested in reading any of these books now that I've talked about them a little bit, or what's a book that you maybe picked up that you maybe wouldn't have if it wasn't for a specific reason, like a prompt, or you came across it at the library, a thrift store, or something like that. A book that you maybe wouldn't have sought out, but it kind of surprised you when you did read it. I would love to know that down in the comments below. If you just want to let me know you were here and you're helping to support the channel by commenting, you can always leave a rabbit or any type of animal emoji in the comments below. Thanks for watching, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and leave you here. Happy reading. Bye.